Hello, everyone. I am Brady Briggs here for another episode of the Combat Logic. Joining me today is Tyler Avery. How are you, Tyler? It's nice to talk to you.
Good. How are you?
Pretty good, man. So today we're going to be talking about boxing going on tomorrow night. It's better late than never to make the video. Vitor Belfort versus Evander Holyfield is the main event. Let's see, the co-main event. I had the card right here. We were just talking about it. Anderson Silva versus Tito Ortiz. And then David Haye versus Joe Fournier. Let's start out with Haye and Fournier. What can you tell me about these two?
Well, I feel like I don't know. It's slightly in a way I feel like this is going to be a little bit of a mismatch, and I feel like they're giving the legend someone that they know that he can beat, and I'm pretty sure he's fighting someone that's decent amount younger than him. But I feel like they're giving him someone that he can easily beat because I don't know. I feel like that's just their marketing strategy is to give the OG big name fighters that they can actually beat. They don't want to embarrass these big names,
Yeah.
want to make money off of them.
You might be
So,
surprised to hear Joe's actually only 2 years younger. David Haye is 40. Joe is 38.
okay. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean,
Like I said, the
that,
Joe's only
that
9-0. It's crazy.
that seems like a really good matchup for Hayes, I think.
Yeah. It should be interesting. I mean, Fournier has 8 or 9 of his wins by knockout. Haye is 28-4. He's lost his last 2 fights to the same fighter in 2017 and 2018. He's coming back. He's making his return tomorrow.
Right.
So yeah, that should definitely be interesting.
It's a win-win situation almost for the lesser named fighter coming into this.
Yeah, because even if he loses, he gets that popularity. Like
As long as he puts up a decent amount of a fight, and I see that maybe happening. It'll either be a hard fight or it'll be domination from Hayes.
Right. Yeah. I think that's about accurate.
Because he's powerful and explosive, and I feel like that's still a factor now, even in his old age.
Oh yeah, for sure. Especially as a heavyweight, they generally get more powerful as they age.
Yeah.
What do you think about Anderson Silva versus Tito Ortiz? No, Tito Ortiz has never had a boxing fight before. Anderson Silva is 2-1 as a boxer. He's 1-0 as a boxer since 2005. His first fight was in 1998. His second in 2005. Third in 2021 when he beat Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., which was just remarkable. No one picked him to do that. And now he's got Tito Ortiz, someone who has showed pretty subpar stand-up throughout his career.
Right.
But he's the bigger man coming in. He missed weight by 5 pounds, but we did find out by MMA fighting that Anderson is going to proceed with the fight. What do you think of this one?
I mean, I don't see a lot of ways for Tito to win this. He's gonna get tired quicker. He's gonna throw less punches, unless he's really coming to knock Anderson out. There's not much of ways that he can win this. I see him getting touched up by jabs and getting danced around with Anderson's footwork. I don't see him having much of an answer to that right now.
Yeah, especially for someone who would just be like, I don't know, what, 6-8-time middleweight champion at that weight, and then to fight the same weight again. I mean, this is so cool because Anderson Silva and Tito Ortiz could have happened in the UFC from like 07 to 09, somewhere in there, when Ortiz was the champion or just lost the belt and Silva was champion. It would have been interesting. But in boxing, yeah, I think it's going to go one way.
Yeah, I see a lot of jabs and straights, dancing in and out of range from Anderson. He's really mobile on his feet. He bounces on his toes, and Tito's more stationary and he likes to just march.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't see it happening for Tito. I see it being a long night. And he's crazy. He thinks he can beat anybody.
No, he does. He's always been delusional. That's worked out for him at times.
Yeah.
But
I feel like he not that long ago said something about him being the guy to give John Jones the hardest problem right now. And I was like,
say
oh
that.
my
I
gosh,
remember that.
that would be so bad.
Well, I mean, remember his trilogy with Chuck Liddell, right? I'm assuming you watched that. So he actually did show decent striking in that fight, but the Chuck Liddell that he fought it's not someone you can really gauge that against. You know what I mean? Like he looked like someone who'd partied the last 20 years.
Yeah.
And yeah, but
Yeah, I mean, it's almost like he like waited for his moment to be able to take out Chuck
I know,
when
right?
you know what I mean? Like
He
he
didn't want to
beat
fight him after the Ultimate Fighter 11.
yeah, he waited till he knew Chuck couldn't beat him and
Yeah,
took him on. Then Chuck has aged a lot with his
no,
lifestyle
he has.
and how it's gone for him. He's really put his heart out into a lot of his fights, and he's
Yeah,
given the sport a lot of himself, and he's not the same guy because of it. So I
right.
almost looked down on Tito a little bit for that because it was almost impossible to win fight for Chuck, even though I was really hoping that he was going to be
Mhm.
able to do it. There was almost no way. Like when they saw Chuck sparring, everyone was like, "Oh, he's sandbagging. He's trying to make it seem like he's not as good as he is, and he's going to go in there and perform a lot better than we expect." And that
Mhm.
wasn't the case. That was where he was at,
Well,
and
it's
it,
kind
it
of
was kind of sad.
it was very sad. I was really upset that they even put that fight on, but it's kind of strange because Tito has gotten the last laugh a few times over his last few fights here.
Yeah.
We really didn't expect him to. That doesn't change my opinion on how this one's gonna go.
A matchup that makes more sense for Tito Ortiz, in my opinion, was the Vitor fight. Even though he's still
Yeah,
potentially outmatched anyway,
for
uh,
sure.
Vitor, I'm pretty sure, has fought professional boxing before,
Once.
or yeah, okay, and and it's more his game plan anyway. It's more his strategy
Yep.
is the fast hands and maybe some kicks. But that was more of a matchup that Tito could work with. I think less mobile fighter that someone that works for his style a little bit more. But he went right for the jugular and wanted the big name and took Anderson Silva. I think it might be a little bit off more than he could chew.
Yeah, yeah, I agree for sure. We'll find out. We'll find out. It's cool because neither of these guys ended their careers too well. And I mean, Tito didn't end his career terribly in MMA, but he wasn't fighting the very best at the end, like
In the
Anderson
UFC, it
was.
was getting pretty rough.
You were
And then
right.
he finally beat Ryan Bader, and it was a big deal.
That was a huge deal. I couldn't believe when that happened.
No,
Like
me
I
either.
couldn't believe it.
Ryan Bader should have ran right through him. And right now, if they
Yep.
fought, I feel like you just run right through him.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, if they were to fight 100 times, I think Bader would have won at least 95 of them. Like,
Absolutely.
yeah, dude, that was remarkable. I mean, it was a good moment in the career of Tito Ortiz for sure. All right, let's talk about our main event: Evander Holyfield versus Vitor Belfort. Now, we were initially supposed to get who was it? Oscar De La Hoya versus Vitor Belfort.
Right.
And I'm really upset because I really wanted to see De La Hoya get his ass beat
He
just because of how annoying he is.
There's a
But
big size discrepancy there too. Big power
yeah,
discrepancy.
he
Not
was
even just size.
he was what, a welterweight, a light middleweight throughout his career, De La Hoya. That's like
And
100.
he's not a physical he's a brains fighter.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
never been a bully. You know what I mean? He's not a physical specimen or like a bruiser. And Vitor is like a technical bruiser. You know what I mean? He's like a
Hmm.
technical brawler, and that could have been a bad matchup for him.
Oh, for
If Vitor
sure.
doesn't get tired, that's a hard fight.
Yeah, yeah, because I mean, he hasn't fought. De La Hoya hasn't fought since I don't think 2008 was the last time he fought. Vitor hasn't fought in boxing since, let's see when his boxing fight was, in 2006. But he's fought a whole shitload of times since then. So he made his pro boxing debut a couple years before De La Hoya retired. That's
Yeah, De La Hoya is another one like Chuck Liddell. Has been through a lot with his lifestyle, and I think he
yes,
may also be a shell of his former self.
yeah. Like I wasn't interested in seeing that other than him seeing like he was trying to talk like he was gonna beat Gennady Golovkin or he can beat Canelo. Like literally the top guys he's trying to say that he can
He's
beat.
supposed to fight GSP.
Yeah, I'm glad that didn't happen.
I just wanted to see GSP fight again.
How do you think that would have went? GSP and De La
GSP would
Hoya?
have jabbed, and it would have been probably like a slow technical decision, but I feel like
I
GSP
think
could have
so.
beat him just because he's in such great shape and his lifestyle is so healthy versus De La Hoya as his mental state is questionable.
Yeah.
He was
For
he was
sure.
drunk commentating for a few events where he said some
Mhm.
bizarre things where it was just weird. And also he said some things that kind of scare me, like he's almost like getting delusional as well. I heard him talk about like when someone his age is fighting, you want to hear people say, I feel pretty good for a guy my age. You don't want him to say, I feel better than I ever have. I feel
Right.
like my jab and my punches are faster and stronger than they've ever been. You're
Well,
delusional at that point. There's no way that you can say that you are performing better now than in your prime.
honestly, that sounds like a cokehead to me. Like I'm starting to believe Dana White. Like he
Oh,
calls
he's
him a cokehead
absolutely a cokehead.
every time he gets a
One
chance. And
substance
he
or the
makes,
other.
yeah, he makes a lot of those moves. He acts like one. He really does.
Yeah. And he seems like a nice guy, so it's kind of
Oh, he
like
does. Sure.
it's kind of sad, but he says some bizarre things that make me think that a smart fighter like GSP had what it takes to beat him.
Right. Right.
Him thinking that he's the best he's ever been or saying that he's the best he's ever been means that he would have had a big wake up call in there. And I don't think he's going to be able to come back from that.
Right.
GSP would have been more in shape, stronger, faster,
Certainly. Yeah.
you know. So he it's a win, absolutely a winnable fight. A lot of people thought GSP was out of his league doing that, but I completely disagree, and I feel like he would have surprised everyone the same way that Anderson surprised everyone.
Yeah, right. I was almost thinking that until you started talking. You made a lot of good points. Yeah, I was just thinking he may have surprised people like Anderson did. At
I
first, it
think
was
he was
Frank
going
Mir.
to.
Frank Mir put up the best fight.
Anderson was just in a better place at that time in their
Mhm.
career.
He took it more
He's
seriously too. I don't think
yeah,
Julio even tried to do much of anything in that fight.
and that's how it would have gone with De La Hoya versus GSP. GSP would have had the best training possible, diet. He would have been in the perfect state of mind.
Taking it so
He
seriously. Yeah, you're right.
yeah, he would have been the best him he possibly could be, which isn't as diminished of himself as De La Hoya.
Right. Yeah, not even close. So with De La Hoya, Evander Holyfield steps in. He is a former heavyweight that really should have been a cruiserweight. But he's a former heavyweight and a former multiple time heavyweight champion. He hasn't fought in a decade. It'll have been 10 years and 4 months when he steps in there, which is, a couple years better at least. And he actually looks very good, as you mentioned,
Yeah,
in the weigh-in. He looked incredible. What do you think of that?
yeah. I mean, he's always been a physical specimen. He was almost to me in my eyes like the technical, clean cut version of Tyson. Not the technical
Sure.
because Tyson was absolutely technical, but he was the more orthodox, nice guy fighter. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? He was the clean cut. Not he wasn't just a point fighter. I say point fighter, but he was like the civilized version of Tyson in the
Yeah.
ring and out. Uh so that's how I always looked at him. So he's always been a physical specimen in my eyes, and he's always been like explosive and in better shape than a lot of the guys that he fights.
Yep.
But at this age, you wouldn't expect it, really. You wouldn't
Yeah,
expect he
sorry, go
looked arguably better than Tyson when Tyson had his big transition back into boxing when he had that big change.
ahead.
He and I think that he probably has maintained that over time. He probably has always stayed kind of in shape.
Yeah. Do you think age plays a factor in this? Because Evander is about a month away from turning 59 years old, and Vitor is 44.
Vitor can hurt him. You
For
can't
sure.
deny that age won't be a factor, at least in that aspect. He cannot take a punch the same way he did when he was young, period. Whether he'll be able to take all the punches in this fight or not,
Actually, I think either of
not
them can.
as good as he once was.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that's susceptible.
But the way Evander looks, it makes me wonder if he's been training recently or if he's on PEDs too or
Right.
something like that, because it's like he didn't know he was fighting 2 weeks ago.
He's been trying to get back into the boxing scene though since Tyson did, because there's been chit chat about him boxing Tyson, and I think he's been seeing all the money that people have been making, and he wanted in, so he
Yeah.
kind of got his name in there since the Tyson fight, and I think he's probably been preparing since then. I think he's known he wants to jump back in and have a money fight.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I mean, I kind of like all this is happening, honestly. With the Pauls doing their thing, and then yeah, Mike Tyson and Roy Jones coming back the way they did.
I hope he
Fucking
isn't on
awesome.
Peds. He is in very good shape for an old man.
Yeah, for sure. He definitely is. And I'm almost certain that Vitor is, as we mentioned too, because
Right.
like, yeah, he's way more muscular than he was when he left the UFC. Way more muscular.
Yeah, and even if he was the same as he left when he left the UFC, I would be surprised because a lot of time has passed. His decline was rapid, and
Mhm.
if he wasn't on any peds, he would probably look worse. He wouldn't look at par. Like he looks a little bit better,
Mhm.
not a little bit worse or a lot worse.
Right,
It's a
right.
big difference. He's on the complete other end of the spectrum.
Uh, I'll,
Maybe it's for an injury. He doesn't want to get hurt. So I mean, I feel like the old guy should be allowed to.
oh yeah, for sure. Me too. I mean, they're both old, so yeah, they're both fighting an old
Prevents the
person.
injuries.
Yeah, for sure. Um, one of my friends, his name is Jeff Chiffins, is fighting in BYB tomorrow night as well in bare knuckle promotion. He's fighting Desmond Green, a debuting bare knuckle fighter. Desmond Green was there at UFC Rochester tonight. We were both there. How do you think? I mean, I don't know if you've seen Jeff fight before, probably not. How do you think Desmond Green does in bare knuckle?
I feel like it's a style that could work for him. I feel like his skill level matches up really well with the stand-up skill level of a lot of these guys in the bare knuckle promotion.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like it could be a good fight. He's a good fight for anyone. I feel like I don't know who he could necessarily beat or not beat yet until he
Mm-hmm.
steps in there, and a lot of questions will be answered in round one. But
Yeah.
I know he's a problem for anyone at his weight, anywhere you go.
Yeah, he definitely could be. He's gotten very slick and crisp striking over the last few years. I mean, he hasn't fought shit. It's been a little over 2 years now because of legal issues, and then the UFC ended up letting him go. But
Right.
yeah, I'm very excited to see that. Before we get off here, your official prediction for Evander Holyfield and Vitor Belfort.
Um, I think Evander by decision, but I think there'll be a lot of punches thrown because I'm pretty sure the event is going to be built around short rounds and
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that. And it's not even I don't even think it's decided yet at whether it's going to be treated as an exhibition or a pro fight because they were saying that's up to Evander's team. I was just reading an article about that just before I got on here. They're saying that it's up to Evander's team and they could change it anytime up until a certain amount of hours before the fight. They
Yeah,
can
that's super annoying. I don't like that. I want it to be a pro fight.
I want it to be as well because it's just more exciting.
Yeah, that and they've both had professional boxing belts before. They just made a 1-1 fight. Well, they didn't make them, but they made the fight between a 1-1 and a 52-5. I think Julio was. So why
I
not
think they
make that
just
a
wanted the
thing?
option in their back pocket in case there was some type of an injury or something and they still wanted to get that payday. They could go in on less serious terms
Oh,
if needed. He's
that's
old.
interesting. Yeah,
He's old man, so maybe to juice up his side of the deal, they're like, listen, if something happens, you're gonna get paid. We'll get in there and we'll do an exhibition, you know.
yeah,
So that maybe that's what that's all about. It's just something that was in the contract is he has the ability to decide
right.
whether it's exhibition rules or certain type of exhibition rules or pro fight rules.
Yeah, yeah. I'm certainly excited to see which version of all these guys shows up because we got a few guys returning, like Vitor Belfort is returning, Evander Holyfield is returning, David Haye's returning, Tito Ortiz making his debut. So it's a very interesting card. I'm glad Thriller or Triller is a thing. They're doing some really exciting stuff.
Yeah, I was kind of sleeping on it at first, and then I took a look at it, and I was like, Like this could actually make for like a pretty crazy night if
Mhm.
these fights add up like they look on paper. Some of these
Yeah,
fights
yeah.
can be exciting regardless of who wins.
Yeah, like I think Ortiz and Silva, that's going to be exciting because Silva's just going to piece them up from start to finish. It's going to be like
Absolutely.
Moutinho and O'Malley, except
But I see Ortiz swinging,
I think he'll
so
definitely swing. Yeah, for sure.
he'll be swinging. So I feel like it's gonna be a good fight to watch.
Yeah,
Anderson's not just gonna put him down. He's gonna try to do work. He's gonna box.
mm. They're both
He has that
46 years
ability, and
old.
we've seen that from his last fight that he'll go out there and not just use his MMA style hands going for the finish all the time. He will box and dance around you.
Yeah, yeah. I asked him that. I was like, "Do you think you feel limited only boxing as a because you've always been more of a Muay Thai fighter?" He's like, "No." That was just a simple no, and he laughed. It was funny. It made me feel kind of dumb. Anyway, everybody like and subscribe the video if you like it. I appreciate you, Tyler. We'll have you on again soon. Thanks, buddy.
Take it easy.
You too.